Hello, my name is Kelsey, and I'm here to discuss the difference between postpartum depression and baby blues. Now, what is the difference? Baby blues, yes, is a form of postpartum depression. However, just because it's a form doesn't mean that they are the same severity. So, baby blues, according to the APA guide, or website rather, baby blues is stress, adjustment to having a newborn baby. Normally comes with right after having a baby and taking care of a human life, brand new, is stressful and it is a new change. So there's kind of where the adjustment disorder lies. Postpartum depression, with post meaning after and partum meaning birth, it's after birth, can come, you know, a month after having the baby, right after having the baby, a year or 2 years after having the baby. The difference between them two is baby blues subsides on its own. It goes away within a few weeks or a few months after having it, after you kind of get in the swing of things of the sleeping schedule or lack thereof, the feeding schedule, whether you're breastfeeding, bottle feeding, both, co-sleeping, sleeping with the bassinet in your room or sleeping in their crib in their own room. After you kind of get used to the adjustment and get a routine going, baby blues kind of more subsides. Postpartum depression, on the other hand, there's no time frame, there's no timeline of when it can go away, what causes the serotonin levels in your brain to become depressed, a few months or a few weeks or a few days, a few hours after you have the baby. It's inexplainable. Postpartum depression, the big difference between postpartum depression and baby blues is postpartum depression is inexplainable as a sense of the time frame, why it happens, and how the longevity of how, of it lasting. Whereas baby blues is kind of like the new stress, it's the adjustment, and it subsides after you kind of get used to the hang and swing of things. And I found all that information on APA. I apologize you can't see because of the glare on my laptop. And postpartum, if I pull it up here, postpartum depression is, according to the APA.org for women's resources on postpartum depression, 1 in 7 women experience postpartum depression, whereas baby blues, 70 to 80% of women experience postpartum depression, 70 to 80% of women experience baby blues, 1 in 7 experience postpartum depression. So the numbers are already, 1/7 versus 80%. They're already, a big difference with that. Postpartum depression is also a much more severe mood disorder. So instead of, being upset and kind of working it way and being like, okay, I got this, postpartum depression, you just kind of, you break down easily. You don't know what's going on. You kind of can't control how you feel, so to speak. So with postpartum depression, you know that something's upsetting you, but you don't know why, and you don't know how to handle something that's upsetting you. Many doctors that I've spoken to, and that I've online from APA, have said, baby blues in the arms of an angel by Sarah McLachlan comes on, you start crying, you don't know why. Well, with postpartum, it's like an uncontrollable sobbing, and then the next minute after that commercial goes off, you go from being really upset to being really happy, and the moods are extreme, and they're high up and they're high down, and there's, no explanation for it. And like I said, another big difference is that baby blues kind of subsides after a few weeks, a few months, whereas postpartum, it might take medication, meditation, and therapy to get yourself back to how you felt about yourself prior to having a baby. Another thing I found was that postpartum depression um, is difficult is a lot more difficult to deal with than baby blues. So postpartum depression makes it difficult for you to get through the day, and it makes it difficult for you to take care of your baby. Versus baby blues, you get frustrated, you set the baby down, and then you walk away. Well, then when you walk away, you have that time for a woosah breather moment, and then you come back and be like, okay, now I'm cool. Pick the baby up, feed the baby, rock the baby, whatever the baby needs. Postpartum depression, you feel like you can't do anything. You literally feel like you're stuck. Postpartum depression, you also could feel as if you're a terrible mom because they're not latching, or they cry when you pick them up, or they won't go to sleep for you, but your husband or your wife grabs the baby, and here they are, and the baby stops crying, or starts to coo and does all the things that you want the baby to do for you, but it doesn't happen, and that also is postpartum depression. And there's many reasons why postpartum depression gets triggered. It's not feeling like you're not bonding with the baby, feeling like the baby doesn't want anything to do with you, not being able to latch if you breastfeed, just being easily frustrated, and you can't control it, and it just keeps going and going, and it feels like you're in this vicious cycle. Whereas if you're in baby blues, you're able to set the baby down, deep breath in, exhale, come back and continue the mission to get whatever the baby needs done, completed. Uh, Baby blues does not take medication. It doesn't take it can take meditation. You can meditate for any reason, but baby blues generally is not medicated. And baby blues, you don't need a therapist generally unless you're having issues with the adjustment. But it doesn't take long. Versus, and baby blues is also right after you have the baby. Versus postpartum, like I said, it's weeks, years. It can be right after and then last a year or longer, or you can be fine and then eventually you start having baby blues, and there's no scientific reason why postpartum depression happens the way that it is. And that's why postpartum depression is such a mystery to this day, because scientists cannot explain why it happens 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, a year, 2 years after somebody has the baby. Scientists are still researching that.